it's deeply honoring and flattering, and I thank my lucky stars every day that they would have thought enough of me to hang around to offer me this opportunity. And I think that from that moment forward, I had this tremendous responsibility to the movie, to my partners in Carrie and Omar and Pilar and Stephen Love, to do something special and to make a really great film. Carrie and Omar, they are two of the most remarkable, extraordinary artists I've ever worked with. I've ever had the pleasure to work with. They are an endlessly joyous tandem to be around and to be able to direct and laugh with and cry with, and all the great things that go along with this line of work. So when you have the top two people with their elan and their way of doing things and their kindness and their generosity, it can only lead to fantastic things. He's like everybody's dad. He's like the dad you want. And when you had like Jaleel Kamara, who plays his son, who plays Kai, he developed such a bond with Omar. And so there was a kinship and this great paternal sense that Omar had with him. And Omar was in a lot of ways the other director in those scenes with Jaleel. He really kept Jaleel's focus and did so as a guy who's raised, 5 of his own children and 2 children that he raised that were his extended family. So this is a guy who has a lot of experience. So Carrie and Omar play Isaac and Kai Rassar, who are these formerly renowned kind of international assassins, and they ran this unit called Shadow Force for a guy named Jack Cinder, played by the incomparable Mark Strong. And they were kind of tasked with like high-level terminations of diplomats and despots and tyrants and so on. And in direct contravention of this unit's kind of, golden rule, these two fall in love and they slip away and have a child, and that rule comes out with punishment of death and a $25 million bounty on your head. And so they split up, and Kyra goes and kind of basically hunts down their old team while Isaac raises their son. And in the midst of a trip to the bank, a kind of a regular, everyday trip to the bank, Isaac foils this really intense bank robbery and winds up exposing himself. And in doing so, exposing their son, Marvin, Natalia, Janelle, Sala, and Yosin, who are all these who play the shadows, the remaining shadows. All really phenomenal actors. They brought this additional kind of gravitas. And then Natalia, Yosin, and Marvin, coming from very different backgrounds. Each of them is so, again, lovely as a person that they really developed this bond where, they were going out, they were, they're having meals together, smoking cigars together. They were really kind of tied at the hip. And you see it in the movie. You see how much they like one another. I'm glad we did it here because I think it gave it an additional sense of the kind of the international, spy. It doesn't look like any other place. They don't make movies like this anymore. This is how they made movies in the 70s, 80s. You actually went somewhere and shot it. You didn't shoot it on green screen and all that stuff. So just the practical aspects of it, I really love. And it's like I said, it was not without its growing pains, As you can see from this, it's sweltering hot at all times. But that was just something you realize, okay, this is going to be an aspect that's going to show up in the movie, unavoidably so. And I think that's good because not everything should be air conditioned sound stages. It's you got to get out in the world once in a while. And so I made a lot of action movies, and I'm a fan of the genre, and I think I've done some pretty good ones. And you're always left with, okay, well, what else can we do? And by the way, what is the heart and soul of an action sequence? What I think that you have to have people you care about inherently, deeply. And when you have that, the action becomes compounded, and that's why you root for them, you know. And lacking that, you know, it doesn't matter how sensational the camera work is or the fight or whatever. If you don't care about the people in that scene,